Today's devotion is called Setting Our Hearts, and we are on January 23rd and day 23 of walking through the Bible alphabetically. And today's morning rinse comes from 2 Chronicles 10 through 12. I wanted to basically give you a little bit of background here before you pause this and read it. So basically, when you read this, you're going to feel a shift in the atmosphere. Solomon had just died, and Rehoboam, his son, was set to be the king, and the people were not happy. Now, Solomon had made some foolish choices, and so while he had more wisdom than really anybody in that history, having all the wisdom in the world is not going to change our human nature. We have to choose to use wisdom when it is given to us. A lot of times we have wisdom, we know what to do, and yet our human nature gets the best of us. Because in spite of all the wisdom that God gave Solomon, he ended up doing some really foolish things, including things that were actually forbidden by God to do. He became very self-indulgent. He had tons of wives. He increased his wealth in ways that hurt the people, and he had a ton of sexual partners. It's mind-blowing, some of the things that he chose to do. We will read more about Solomon in the months ahead because, he was in First Kings, and he wrote the book of Song of Solomon and parts of Proverbs. And so we just know right now that he died and his son was taking over. And the people then went to his son Rehoboam and they asked for help. They asked him to take away some of the burdens that Solomon had put on the people, such as higher taxes and workload increases. And this was when Solomon had started disobeying God, even by building altars to the pagan gods of his wives. And he even was worshiping them alongside the one true God. So the people went to Rehoboam and they were like, can we regroup here? Can we get some help here? And despite how Solomon behaved, his son could have made things right. So go ahead and pause this. You're going to read all of this in those 3 chapters and come back, and we're going to talk about how setting our hearts is so important when we are living out our faith. Okay, so welcome back. Today's featured verse is from 2 Chronicles 12:14. He, meaning Rehoboam, did evil because he did not set his heart to seek the Lord. With one hand, a jeweler lifts a diamond with his special tweezers. With the other hand, he gazes through a magnifying glass at his precious gem, analyzing the natural cut. Propped upward on the workspace in front of him is a gold band with an empty prong setting. He smiles and with careful precision sets the diamond into its new home. Once the precious gem is placed into the setting, he delicately squeezes the prongs over the diamond, completing his masterpiece. The prongs wrap around the stone, setting it into place for permanence, so it remains secure and long-lasting, positioned to endure the unforeseeable hits and dings in the many years to come. Setting a stone has a distinct parallel to setting our hearts towards seeking the Lord. When we intentionally set our hearts to seek the Lord, we position ourselves to remain steadfast and secure in our faith, despite the many challenges and the many hurts that we will face in our lifetime. Setting our hearts to seek the Lord will help us stay away from evil. The question would be, how do we do this? It's not just a one-time salvation prayer, and I really want you guys to understand this. It is an intentional decision to seek God by reading the Word and making every single decision that we make encased in what God would have us do for our lives. And that encasing is just like the diamond. When the diamond is permanently set in the prongs, it is an intentional decision. Just like the diamond is permanently set in the prongs, it is an intentional decision to set our hearts in the prongs of Jesus. I mean, have you ever thought about that? I mean, we are diamonds, we are gems from God. And as God molds and shapes us into his perfect little setting, as long as we choose this. For if we do not set our hearts to seek God, we have already made the decision to set our hearts to seek evil. And that's very hard to hear sometimes because we don't necessarily set out to go against God's will. That is where Rehoboam failed. In the story, the people came to him and they said, Rehoboam, please help us. Can you decrease our taxes? Can you decrease the workload? Can you make this easier for us? Can you regroup our country? Rehoboam went to the elders, and the elders told him, yes, do this. These people will be faithful to you till the very end. Be kind to them. He then chose to get the advice of some of his friends, and they're like, no, don't decrease it. Instead, punish them more. Like, increase their taxes, increase their workload. We're going to, be mean to them. We're not going to be kind to them. And Rehoboam chose to, instead of listening to the wisdom of the elders who knew what needed to be done, Rehoboam chose to set his heart on things that God would not want him to do. We also have the choice to set our hearts towards the things of what God would want us to do. And it's a daily thing. It's a daily intentional decision. With that daily intentional decision, here is the challenge for today to dig deeper. So I want you to listen to the still small voice of God. Listen to him, and when you hear it in your heart prompting you, stop what you are doing and answer the prompt. Obey the little things. When we obey those little things, it helps us set our hearts each day to seek him instead of seeking the opposite. And then tonight, when you reflect, when you pull out your journal, write down any little prompting that you had today that helped you to seek God and to obey him. Because every single time that we obey, even in the little things, we secure our setting in him. And we strengthen it. It's like the trees that are planted by the rivers of water. Every single decision helps us to grow those roots deeper and stronger, making us set our hearts even more secure with God. So when the winds come and when the winds blow and when the storms come of life, we're setting our hearts deeper and deeper with our faith, and we won't be torn away from him. Our roots will grow a little deeper, and we get a little stronger in him with every single decision, whether that's stopping an argument, or whether that's making a great phone call to someone, or apologizing, or listening to the wisdom of people who have gone before you. Whatever those decisions are, don't be a Rehoboam. Use the wisdom that infiltrates us through the word every single day. And I hope today's devotion inspired you to make some small adjustments and just listen to God every single day. I love asking God, what does he want me to do today? What are the 3 to 5 main things that he wants me to accomplish in a day? And when I ask him first, then I can accomplish so much more. So I'm asking you to just listen today. Little decisions can make a difference. And if you want to read your own printed copy, be sure and look in the show notes, or you can go to Amazon. And I am asking you guys, if you've ordered the book, Rinse, Reflect, Repeat, if you've ordered the devotional from Amazon, could you please go to Amazon and write a review? I'm trying to get up to 50 reviews, so hopefully by the time this podcast gets released, or even in the years to come, there will be more than 50 reviews on Amazon. But I am so excited to be a best-selling author with the support of you guys and your downloads and your orders, and just continually moving forward. I hope this podcast blesses you. And until tomorrow, keep rinsing, reflecting, and repeating. God bless you.